Okay.
Great. Welcome back to East Coast DNA. I'm
Thank you.
sure many of the people that are probably watching, listening, are already aware of my guest today. And I just realized today I haven't actually had you on as guests on my show. When
Mm.
we had met, it was when Pillow Fight was just in its infancy. And
Yes.
I was working with the Jam Sessions podcast at the time. So
Yeah.
I've promoted your stuff through social media channels, but I don't think we actually had a formal interview that like one of these podcast episodes. So thank you
Mm.
for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us. Honestly, I'm quite excited to like go back and listen to that jam sessions thing and hear how little we were and how we really didn't know what was happening. We were just like, we're just making music and seeing what happens. And now,
Yes,
what, 2 years, 3 years after? It's nice.
it's crazy, and there's been quite a drastic growth over the last few years too. So anyone that does want to listen to it on the East Coast DNA YouTube channel, there is a playlist of the interviews from Music Nova Scotia 2021. So
Rad.
it would be in with those. So it is available to listen to.
Great.
And for those that don't know, we have Art Ross and Aaron Green.
Hello.
Right.
So Aaron, back when we did the interview way back, I was alluding to the fact that I was aware of you from being a person that was on the scene for a few years already.
To say
And
the least.
yeah, and
A few. I
you're fairly
appreciate
new.
it.
So the dynamic over the last 3 years, the two of you have continued to back and forth, but now that you're a little bit more seasoned, Art and Aaron, I think back then you kind of alluded to kind of having a renewed optimism, let's say, for some of the future for where you would be going with your music endeavors. So I'm curious now that you've been doing it for a few years, what are your perspectives and how do you feel as far as is Pillow Fight a seasoned East Coast band now?
Wow. What a question. Aaron,
Yeah,
do you want to
it's
go first?
loaded.
Are we? I don't know. A lot of that, I feel like I'm relatively seasoned myself as a bit, and Art has learned. We call it basically it's been a baptism by fire. Like last year, we just like screwed off for 2 months and went on tour through Europe and came back and went to Toronto and
Yeah.
stuff. And they wanted to do all this stuff, and I was like, okay, let's do it. I've been to some of these things before. I haven't been to some of these places, and they've really taken over all our like marketing and booking and admin stuff with the label and all that kind of stuff too, which is nice because I'm playing the majority of the instruments and doing all the production and starting to mix a little bit too for the band. So yeah, I'd say you're I say we made up like almost a decade in 3 years. Just that
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
off your life from rock and roll right there, you
A
know?
100%. I wrote in a song recently that I have started just getting new wrinkles that I had never really seen before, but it was like, I think some of them formed last year when I was just working passionately, when you're so passionate about something and it's not really work, you do it because you love it. But, it's you do a show and then don't sleep and then travel and go somewhere else and then blah blah blah, you're meeting so many people and doing so many things that yeah, it's we have done so much, we've crammed so much in such a short amount of time. I'm really grateful for it. I couldn't even imagine what my life was like before. I must have had a lot of spare time because now it's definitely different. But, you know, we wouldn't have been able to do any of the incredible things that we've done without a really dope community and having lots of people around us to help us with this intense growth. Um, and yeah, so I'm very grateful about that. Not about the wrinkles, but that's probably more the cigarettes than anything.
Yeah, sure. And
Well, don't
now,
they have Don't
Yeah,
they
go
have
ahead.
like the anti-tobacco lobby was like every cigarette you smoke takes like 5 minutes off your life. Every weird ass show you play in the north of England for people so drunk you can't understand their English accents
Oh,
probably takes a couple minutes off too.
that's hilarious. Yeah, it's true.
And now I'm curious, I'm going to lean a little bit more on Aaron for this question, I guess, too.
Yeah.
With the touring for Pillow Fight, at least from my perspective, it seems like you've done a lot more outside of the province than maybe you did historically with some of your other projects. I don't know if that's fair or not, but I'm curious with the Pillow Fight project, has your experiences as far as new growth as a musician, is it more so on the playing live and being out on the road and new experiences being at new venues, or is it more so on the production end? Because you had, as you had mentioned, you've over the last couple of years got your hands deeper and deeper in there to where you really are doing a lot of that back end on your own now.
I think it's both, really. And like a lot of the time before when I was traveling and playing, it wasn't my gig. Like I was there and I was doing my thing, but like I could go have a nap in the hotel while whoever was doing the things, or like I wasn't sending the emails. Or a lot of the time people were just like, "Hey, I got a tour coming up. You got a couple of weeks?" Whereas like this one, everything is split 50-50. Not like every task we do 50-50, but like when I take on something, they take on something. And it's
Mm-hmm.
so when we're going in and we're doing promo, because touring just is like the show is only a tiny, tiny part of it.
Mm.
And to tour and do the conference stuff, it's just like you're always learning, you're always on stage. Like I try to always be like learning something new or I get really bored. It's the same on the technical aspect of things. Like every new show is a different challenge. Every new place you're in, like you got to fill the room somehow. Every crowd is different. Some of them are going to laugh at something, some of them aren't. Some of them are going to like a certain type of song. So it's always just about like being on your toes and being like, oh, they're not really going for this type of thing. Let's shift to this type of thing. And yeah, and the experience of just kind of like being there and instead of being like, oh, I'll see you at sound check, it's like, no, we have to go meet this person and we have to drive and you have to do the interview and be on the thing and do the stuff. Whereas I wasn't involved in that so much before. So that's kind of been a challenge because I feel like art is much more the networker, outgoing kind of personal person where I'm just like details and all that
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff. So yeah, it's been good to offset both of those.
And I do have to go into like your discography at this point. When I originally met you, it was just one single that you were promoting. And then you did the traditional thing that was going on at the time in the scene with a couple singles spaced apart.
Mhm.
Then you dropped a whole EP that was not a collection of those singles. And then since then, you have another series of singles that have come out and you bypass the magic number of three. So that's just something that I noted always seems to be three and then an EP. So is there an EP coming or are you sticking with the single strategy? Because it seems to be working to release a single and promote it or single. Like that's you do seem to have developed a niche for it, at least for your own project.
Mhm.
But is there a strategy there? Do we have an album coming?
Well, long story short, yes, we do have an album coming. It'll be out September 2024,
Okay.
followed by a European and US tour, which will be really great. And when it comes to the formatting, the formula of like, three singles and then this and then this. I think our band is quite special in the sense that we just don't do anything that we should, I guess. We
Yeah.
don't we don't do anything that is the norm or that should be put in a box. And if you look at even our genre or um, the people who we play for, the people we meet, the kind of things that we sing about. I think all of them are very, I don't know, subcultural, maybe a little niche, alternative. And so I kind of like that we just kind of do whatever we want and then put it out there and people like it. So that's good. That's a good thing. But I wonder what it would be like if we did have more of a structure um, when it comes to songs
Yeah,
and
I'm
what
old
it.
school and worked in record stores. So in my head, I
Mhm.
like the logic of it, but I've been
Yeah.
around the whole time. I'm aware that that's not even how
Yeah.
I digest music these days. Like
Oh,
if you give
yeah.
me 18 tracks, if you're a friend, I've probably heard it already.
Hmm.
If you're somebody I'm a big fan of, I've probably seen it live already.
Yeah. Do you prefer
But
a single?
I think for digesting new music that's been produced, I
Yeah.
do prefer singles.
Yeah.
Um, I definitely for listening, like if I'm going for a walk, I prefer a mix.
Mm.
So it would come back to singles again too. It is nice to have those compilations though, and I have a ton of physical media, so I'm still a hardcore physical media fan. So it's
Awesome.
I'm a little
Thank you.
conflicted.
Thank you
Yeah.
for still buying our CDs, though.
Yes,
This is
yes.
great. I knew there was someone out there. I just didn't know who it was. I'm very happy to hear that.
Oh yeah, there's a few of us out there. I have a few friends that have stuff all over their walls and record players set up, and
So cool.
that's their weekend routine is like a little listening time. And
Ah, so
yeah,
romantic.
there's still a few people out there anyway.
Nice.
And now on the live end, and to be fair, the reason I reached out to you in the first place, I'm
Mm.
curious about your summer tour plans, a specific festival that I just had the festival organizer on already name dropped you. So, yeah, what do you have coming up for June, July, August leading up to new album?
Yeah, we are so busy. I don't know why Aaron and I always do this thing. We always say, we're gonna lay low and just chill out, and then we book so many shows in like a month, and then we're like, well, I guess it will be next year that we will have a relax. So yeah, we very unintentionally booked ourselves a pretty full out summer, but I'll try and say them. Aaron, you tell me if I'm missing anything.
Okay.
All right, so in a couple of weeks we're going to go to North by Northeast, play with our band in Toronto. And then we've got Ingo Pride, which we are super, super excited about at the end of June. And then we have Fredericton Pride, which is in the middle of
July.
July.
You're doing good.
Thank you. Um, and then I am doing
Benefit and Wolfville show.
Benefit and Wolfville show. Thank you. I'm doing a songwriter workshop in Lunenburg with a show in Lunenburg. And then at the end of August, we start our European tour where we start with pop culture in Berlin. And we're going to just go around Europe and then we're going to wait and then it's until the end of October when we come back from our US tour. And then there's Nova Scotia Music Week.
Okay, so you will be at Music Week. That was going to be my follow-up question, is if all of that would be wrapped up in time to make an appearance in Wolfville.
Yes, yes. I think it will be really nice to like go and do all of this stuff and travel and have a really good like album fallout, and then come home and then feel like we're back at home, which will be really nice. And it's in Wolfville, which is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, it sounds amazing. So now, aside from having the new album
Hmm.
and all of the festivals and tour dates in between, I'm curious, your music videos, you always had great music videos to go along with everything. So do you have time with a schedule like that to continue to create content while you're on the road and making a new album? Can you keep up with that type of schedule?
That's a great
Well,
question.
we
Great
just had a
question.
meeting about the next music video last week, so yes, somewhere in there the time fits in. The music videos are a bit of a big production,
Yeah.
quote unquote. Especially since it's like kind of hard to monetize music videos, essentially, just like anything that you throw on the internet and stuff like that. So it's kind of investment where like a live show would be different. But we just like making them, and Art's done a great job running our social media and doing all the creative stuff. And I'm very pliable. As long as someone else plans it and tells me what to look like, I will show up and read the script or do my part. So yeah, we do have stuff coming out for that too. So it's so hard to do all the stuff that you're
Oh yeah.
supposed to do. And you hear like major label artists who have like teams of people that are like sick of social media and stuff. And you're like, oh my God, like that's crazy. Cause yeah, it's just we do have like people we work with and like a team, but like at the end of the day, Pillow Fights me and Art, and it comes back to like our decisions and our planning. And I think we fit in stuff as good as possible, but there's also a matter of like being like, you never quite know when you've done enough or whether you've done the things you're supposed to do. So I think we're both kind of good at being like, we did these things. Like, it's okay. We can be quiet for a little bit here, or like, just take the weekend and like, because that's just as important to be like, you can't burn yourself out completely doing all the stuff. You can only do so much. And yeah, it's nice. And again, I don't know how solo
This
artists
is
do it without a buddy,
Mhm.
a lot of solo artists. And I'm like, man, I don't know. Oh, geez.
it
I
is
personally need a buddy.
it's so ironic, Aaron talking about this because he's like, don't burn yourself out. It's like we are such workaholics. Every time I hear Aaron say like, no, just chill out. Why don't you take the weekend off? I'm like, well, would you take the weekend off? Because I have to plan a tour and we got this stuff and this and like I feel like it's so wonderful. It's so beautiful to have such a thing that literally gets you up in the morning. And like, especially in this climate and this kind of life where everyone is very like malaise and
Mhm.
maybe is, probably feels quite defeated from the world, obviously. It's so nice to not only have a buddy to, spur on your passion with you, but it's so nice to like do something and like feel like you're giving something to the universe, I guess. That's getting really philosophical here, but um, it's quite nice to be busy. I mean, when it comes to music videos and stuff, I think I don't know if there ever is enough. I think that especially in the climate that we're in right now, I think people are very hungry for content, and I feel like it's very insatiable. I don't know if there's ever going to be enough singles, social media posts, videos, whatever. But we can try our best, at least. Right, Aaron? Get on it.
Well, the shelf life of things is different now because it's like
Yeah.
Mm.
it all just lives there. It's not like you were talking about the physical formats. Like I have nights at home where it's just like, oh, let's put on some records. Like let's do the thing. And like that's like I'm always trying to pick up t-shirts and vinyl at every show that offers them up. And then like, yeah, to actually like sit down and have like, because music for me isn't just a background thing that kind of like fills up the noise. Like it's like, oh no, I like really want to sit down and listen to this and like maybe fall in love with another record and
Mhm.
stuff like that. And then and sometimes it's like, well, I just want to make records and blah blah blah. But sure, everyone just wants to do the only thing they like. You know what I mean? Like no one wants to be like figuring out trying to make a TikTok and doing the thing. And well, some people
Oh
do.
yeah.
But a lot of musicians I know were like, I'd rather be writing songs, but I have to go on and think of a funny idea and then make a TikTok and then edit it and do all this stuff. And it's like, I could have wrote two songs in the time I was doing that. So it's like, yeah, it's a really hard balance to maintain because like you can't let it eclipse the reason you're actually doing it, right? Like it's still just like marketing essentially.
Mm.
Yeah, I could super relate. I a couple times have burnt myself out on this end, and it's more so when I go to an event that's a longer period of time, bring back a quantity of effort on my own. That's when
Yeah.
because you don't have anyone to say maybe take a break or maybe slow
Yeah.
down. So you're just thinking I have a finish line I want to hit, right? So
Mm.
it's very easy to do that to yourself, but
Yeah.
I
I mean, I'm just thinking about you at Music Week. Like you must have so much content that you have to just dig through.
Oh, that's what I mean. Like that while I'm on the scene, there's enough wonderful people around that like you can definitely get through the time on the scene, but the volume of content that you have, there's enough stuff that I haven't used that's sitting over there on hard drives and that I'm like, I don't even know what I'm ever going to do with some of it, but it's wonderful. It's a wonderful problem to have, I guess,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
a lot of ways.
Imagine having nothing. And then there would
Yeah.
be, yeah, no, it's better to have more. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. It's we'll see long term. It's only been what, the 2000s that we've had the overwhelming amount of content, really. So
Hmm.
we'll see what happens with the kids when they grow up. So actually, that wasn't planned segue, even though it sounds really forced one. When I interviewed you way back, I had my daughter there
Oh,
and
yeah.
she was off to the side. Now we had a conversation afterwards because a big topic that we had was about like pronouns and genders and about what you're representing yourself out there. So I'm curious now that we're 3 years in.
Hmm.
One, I'm curious how much of a priority is that in the songwriting aspect? I know that it's alluded to because you can hear it if you're listening to the stories. And I know that you've promoted the band as kind of like a breakup songs band, which you pretty much have been for me as well. But the album wasn't necessarily that either. So like you had some more upbeat instrumentation to it. So I'm curious with Pillow Fight as an image, originally you had a strong vision on what you were advertising Pillow Fight to be. And now that Pillow Fight's a little older, what is Pillow Fight now? Is it, like, are you still focused on delivering a specific message, or is it about like is Pillow Fight growing and expanding in that way as well?
Hmm. Wow. Aaron, you take this one first and then I'll go.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, our lyricist at a loss for words. Can you imagine?
Aaron, please.
I know. Well, I think like we started in a weird time. It was very
Yes.
weird. And like the band kind of built out of that necessity. Like we were like Art was the only person outside of my partner that I could see some weeks. And like the band grew that way as like a two-piece with acoustic guitars and stuff like that. And then as soon as we were able, we're like, we could see other people. Let's bring all these other fabulous musicians in to work like that. And the core of the band has always been the two-piece. And we do love doing we're doing a show next week at the Carlton that's just duo acoustic and doing the storyteller thing, but like the venues opened up to us where we could bring drums and synth and bass, and I could play electric guitar, which I kind of like to do sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
step on all my pedals, and it's like it's kind of like things just kind of grow into the space that is there for them, I guess, is kind of what we've always tried to do. Because again, when we started, we didn't know if there was going to be a music business. Was there going to be a live industry after, like all this stuff? So the kind of initial thing was like, let's just make shit we like, and for me, like learning how to produce and like just like following people whose production I like, and like Rick Rubin specifically, and trying to get into that mentality of just like, what does the song want, and like where does this song want to go, and like where does Art's lyrics kind of like dictate for this, and then coming through, and like we did have a bit of a like breaky uppy kind of sad boy vibe, but now like the way the world is, the new stuff, there's some like anger and energy behind that anger just because of the shit that we're still going through, that none of like
Mm-hmm.
most of the shit that affects everything, like it shouldn't be happening. Like there's so much shitty stuff happening right now in the world. If you aren't a little angry, you're probably not paying attention, and like that's coming through in the lyrics and the way we feel about stuff. And there still is like the you know, the examination of the mental health, and like art writes from a very like truthful, like authentic place about their life. So it can't help but represent that like queer experience lyrically. But then I'm just trying to, you know, follow where they're going with their stories and make the best music to support that. And they're not sad all the time. They're not in love all the time. They're not happy all the time. They're not like, sometimes they're angry, sometimes they're this. So like if a song comes in, I'm just looking for the like core of what they were getting at and to boost it and not be like, well, we're a folk duo, so this song is really like fast and up and loud and stuff, but we're not just going to break it down just because we have some sort of like genre specific thing we want to fit into. I don't know. People keep telling me genre is dead. It's all about vibes. And I think we've leaned into that vibe. Like
Mhm.
we probably are a vibe, whether there's 6 of us on stage or whether there's 2 of us in a coffee house. So I feel like we're still just becoming more pillow fight as we go.
Wow. Well said. Thanks, Aaron. I'm glad that you went first. Um, Pretty much, Aaron summed it up very well. I think what you said at the end was super poignant. I feel like when we started, especially being a newbie in the industry, I didn't know who my fans were. I didn't know
Mhm.
who would enjoy our music. I didn't know who would listen. And I feel like now, instead of trying to fit myself and ourselves into a genre or a community, we're just ourselves now. And if people like it, then they like it. If they don't, then we're not for them, and that's okay. I think maybe before, when I was a child 3 years ago, um, I really wanted to be liked. I wanted to be played on the radio. I wanted to be pop. I wanted to like, be all these things. But I feel much happier and much more authentic to just make stuff that I'm proud of. And if one person listens to it and likes it, then that's really all I care about, which is really nice. And going off that, we are so lucky. We're so lucky to be part of such a wonderful queer community. We are like, I just feel like, I thank my lucky stars every day that we even live in Canada or Halifax, a place that, for a lot of us is just this like kind of queer utopia in a lot of ways. And I just think about how, you know, without the community, I don't know where we'd be. And they're just incredible. And so, Ingo Pride that we're going to do at the end of June is something that I'm just so excited about, so thrilled about. It's almost like the epitome of kind of where we're going and the community that we love, which is mainly lesbians and queer people. So.
But I'm excited to go myself.
Yeah.
I've been to quite a few, I guess, pride-oriented events over the last few years, and it always seems to be like safe spaces are like a big thing. So
Yeah.
as long as you're gonna not be a dick, it's
Yeah.
probably gonna be a good time. So it sounds like a lot of fun. There's a lot of stages and a lot of good talent out there. So I
Mhm.
did hear a little bit about it last year, and I was a little disappointed I didn't make any effort to get out. So a little
Mhm.
bit more advanced preparation this year. So I'm definitely planning to get out there and see everybody.
That's great. I'm so happy that you'll be there. Please
And,
enjoy yourself.
oh, and I don't think it's going to be too hard. Now, for yourselves, where should I send people that want to keep an eye on what Pillow Fight's doing over the next few months leading up to the new album, and then hopefully purchase something from you?
Oh my
Instagram,
gosh.
I think, is our
Yeah.
main channel. That's where we get the most kind of engagement through Instagram. Well, I mean, we do have like the other stuff like Facebook and TikTok, but Facebook is usually just like your mom's friends being like, "Oh, looking good playing your guitar." So, yeah, I think Instagram is our main kind of if you want to keep tabs on what's coming. And it's kind of nice with the where the album's planned for the fall that we do have the summer to like I'm just like literally putting the finishing touches on everything now. and like it's pretty much in the bag. It's nice to have the summer to do all, like you say, the music videos and the planning and the merch and we do need a bit of a like brand refresh to drop the new album and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, like we're usually quite loud about what's going on. So Instagram's usually the best place to find us.
Well, that's
We
perfect.
also
Go ahead.
we also have a website, and you can also find us at any show, and we will have merch and
Perfect.
CDs just for you.
Perfect. That's amazing. And you're probably one of the more art focused bands, not a pun intended there at all, but I have noticed that your posters and your social media posts, and I mentioned your music videos, like there is a heavy focus on the quality. There's effort obviously being put in there, so I'll be excited to see what else is going on. And
Yeah.
definitely, if you guys have anything that you want me to promote over the next few months, you know how to get a hold of me too. So let me know. I'll share some stuff in the social media as well. And if you have any downtime on site at Ingo Beach, I will probably have a camera with me as well. So
Are you working again the whole weekend at a
yeah,
festival?
yeah,
Easy.
pretty much. So it's either I have a full-time job and then I do all this stuff. So that's how I can relate to the musicians. I'm a little road weary now too, after a couple of
Good
years
for
of
you.
traveling around doing this too. So it's interesting trying to have a full-time job to maintain something in the arts as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No,
I
that's
sympathize and empathize.
oh, it's so hard, but it's so enjoyable at the same time.
Oh
I
yeah,
was
I'm having a
I was
blast doing it.
I was talking to someone the other day about like, don't people have like things that they do? And then they were like, no, I don't. People don't really do stuff. And I'm like, wait, they don't just like spend like hours and hours crafting like small little things so that they can do something else. And they're like, no, they like watch TV. I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah. I know
Wow.
some world-class wood stackers, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
definitely know a few ladies that have like some crafting skills. A lot of people with crickets out there too. So
Crickets.
there's still like the little art thing to cut everything out for you. So
Cool.
yeah, there's definitely people that have some hobbies, but it's not the same as being up till 2 a.m. and doing something else.
That's so true. We're
Yeah.
so lucky. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, sleep deprived and fortunate to have really cool friends, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And lots of wrinkles. It happens.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you so much for having us. It's always such a pleasure to talk to you.
and is there a song maybe from one of your recent singles that you'd like to play off, just on the off chance somebody watching this has not heard Pillow Fight?
Yeah, of course. Aaron?
Alma was our last single.
Yeah.
It's on all the internet streaming things, and it was fun because we wrote it. It was like one of the first songs we wrote, and Art was like, "Oh, I was just a baby when I wrote that. I didn't know what I was doing." I was like, "No, I think this is a great song. I think we should do something with it." And after like several versions, they were finally like, "Oh shit, actually, yeah, you're right. Let's." So that was our last single, and it was a fun one because it kind of is like a throwback to when we wrote it, when we were just little pillow fight babies. And then we kind of produced and performed it when we're like grown up pillow fight babies. So yeah, I think it's a good highlight to bookend this conversation.
Amazing. So we'll play off with that. And if anyone stays right to the very end, the little links that come up at the end, I'll link the old Jam Sessions interview too, so people can go back and
Rad.
listen
Yeah.
to Baby Pillow Fight.
Baby
Yes.
pillow fight. Less gray hair, less wrinkles.
Yes. All right. Well, I guess
Amazing.
I'll see you probably in about a month.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. See you
Thank
then.
you so much. Goodbye.
Thanks.
Go.
Bye.
Okay.
Linger around me, one room, one star. Even forced, it feels strange to be apart. And we're not doing anything, just scrolling on our phones, melting Sea creatures tickling, crabs in a shell, and we're not going anywhere, not anytime fast. I strangely wish this time with you